Welcome to ONNPoint. I'm Andy Martins. I'm thrilled that we're here and we're starting our fall lineup of amazing political shows, the best mayor and council. And we begin that today with Ward 3 Councillor Matt Shoemaker. He'll join me right after these messages.
Welcome to the Machine Shop, our historic venue and gathering place for friends and family. Built in 1899 on the site of a Northwest Company trading post. Today we are a go-to venue hosting many expos, concerts, weddings, and more. While you're here, choose one of our dining experiences. Enjoy a quiet dinner at the Mill Steakhouse and Wine Bar, watch a game and try wood fire oven pizza and local draft at the Boiler Room, or treat yourself every day to gelato and local coffee at the Gelato Mill. For more information on the Machine Shop, visit machineshopinc.ca.
At 4:45, discover all kinds of treasures and never pay more than $5. Inventory is restocked every Saturday, and you can find anything from electronics to household items, toys, and much, much more. On Saturday, everything is $5 and the price goes down throughout the week, ending with 25 cents on Friday. We restock weekly with new items from various big box stores, so you never know what treasures you can find. Come visit us at 4:45, 2510 Ashman Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Have a great business idea but don't know where to start? Need help taking your business to the next level? C2C Business Services can be your guide in navigating the path of entrepreneurship, with services ranging from grant funding support, access to service experts, market information, and helping your business adopt new technologies to create and foster a culture of innovation for ongoing success. Call C2C Business Services and let them be your first step in taking your entrepreneurial dreams from concept to commerce. C2C Business Services is a division of the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center.
Welcome back to ONNPoint. I'm Andy Martins, and as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is going to be a great month of political coverage and all kinds of other things, and what a great way to start the new fall season with Ward 3 Councillor Matt Shoemaker. Thanks for making the time, Matt, this morning.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
No problem. Let's start with this. We're already almost a year into the new term. How do you find this term compare to 2015? If you can compare and contrast the two council terms.
Yeah, well, I think, 2015, we were heading into tough times for Algoma Steel. I think everybody recognized that early in the term. And, we're just recently have come out of those difficult times. So the future, I would say, looks brighter for this term than it did at the early part of last term. So I think already we're starting off on a stronger foot.
And as we were talking before the show, literally preparation meets opportunity. The mayor and council were preparing in that 2014 to 2018 term of you had Algoma Steel and started Future Sault Ste. Marie. You had a vision, and now that vision is starting to be implemented.
Yeah, so I think, last term, the mayor's acknowledged this on a number of occasions, and I think all of council agrees that we had to lay the groundwork in order to be able to capitalize on some of this opportunity, like being selected as Norron's site for their ferrochrome processing facility, and the hard work that mayor and council did last term, I think set us on the right path for this term to be able to capitalize on those opportunities.
And for the new viewers just tuning in, type of thing, this Norron, there's still a lot of work for the mayor and council and other partners to do with this. It's what, 7 to 10 years off? Am I correct in that?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know the exact time frame. It'll depend on the environmental assessment process and the regulatory process from the federal and provincial governments. But it'll be, yeah, it's a long-term project. There's still lots to do, but you know, the first, I think, and most important in our view, point was being selected as the host community, so that we can help Noront to proceed down the road of ensuring that the rest of the process goes smoothly.
And that's up to 2,000 jobs there, direct and indirect, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think it's, my best recollection is 500 direct jobs with the potential to grow to 1,000, and then a similar number of indirect jobs thereafter.
The first term, was Algoma Steel the biggest challenge for the mayor and council as such during that first term?
Well, I would say, given that you know, we weren't receiving tax installments from Algoma Steel, our financial challenge was the most difficult thing that we had to deal with. It was as a result of Algoma Steel's status that we faced that challenge. So I would indirectly, yes.
Yeah, we were, and that was the key, because you were a new councillor in 2014. We were talking before the show on how quickly you were up to learning. You know, a quick learning curve for you, and it was a really tough time to be a new councillor back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a baptism by fire, I guess, early in the new term, but it all worked out well, and you know, I had good councillors there with me to help mentor me along, and I'm hopeful that you know, anybody who I'm currently serving with knows that they can rely on me if they have any questions.
Right, exactly. Let's get into some of the Ward 3 issues. What have been some of the key issues that you and Councillor Hilsinger have worked on during the last year?
There's the ongoing traffic congestion issues on Pine Street, and I think we saw with the bike lanes that were approved on Willow and Pine this year, you know, a real vocalization of those concerns. And we're trying to work to, you know, make sure that all the problems, the crossing the street for students, seniors getting to the Cambria Mall, people being able to bike along those streets, as well as people being able to safely exit their driveways and cross streets. We need to address all those things, and we are working to do that through a whole active transportation plan for the area.
Right, and Pine Street is an issue, I guess, all the way down. You really have to be careful, and Pine and McDonald and various other intersections can get pretty hectic during rush hour.
Yeah, Pine and McNabb, Pine and McDonald, Pine and Northern, Pine and Second Line, they're all busy intersections. It's a busy street, and so we have to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to make it as safe as possible. The new street that's going to go from Northern Avenue to Princeton into the P-Patch will probably, the hope is, and the experts tell us, will alleviate some of the traffic issues at Pine and Pleasant specifically. And
there's an ongoing work that's in progress to alleviate more and more of that traffic.
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna, there's no, you know, magic bullet. There's never gonna be one solution that'll fix it. It's building on the previous solutions to make sure that you get the whole system right.
For the viewers that might not know, Andre Riopel came to council recently, and what's your quick feeling on what he wants to do with Willow and that, because that is still your ward? Do you think that'll work, putting the bike lanes there?
I do think it'll work. Obviously, there's going to be some adjustment period for drivers who aren't used to having bikes on those streets. But you know, bikers are a mode of transportation bikes are a mode of transportation in our city, and bikers need to be able to get to places like the Cambria Mall, like the Pine Plaza, like Tim Hortons on McNabb Street, and so they need to be able to access those main streets in order to use the services that cars are using.
And you've seen that on Queen Street. There was some pushback when bike lanes were built there, and now people are used to it. So it's just kind of, people don't like change, and it takes a while for them to get used to it.
Well, it's a learning curve, I think, for anybody who's used to being able to park on the street or go out of their driveway and only look for cars. But it's a curve that the folks on Queen Street have taken, and the folks on Pine and Willow and various other streets throughout town, I think, will take soon.
Let's move on to this Matt Pino's new store. A lot of people are asking me about the status of what's going on there. What have you heard about the store?
I've heard that it's still a go. I understand that, you know, I bumped into Mr. Pino at his store when I was getting a coffee there a month or so ago, and it sounds like everything's still a go. Just as with most construction projects, they take longer than you wish they would, but they do get off the ground eventually. Great.
Roads in winter, and I talked to Councillor Hollingsworth about this earlier this year. The roads in Promenade and some of the other ones in Ward 3 were pretty tough during the winter last year. What has been done to avoid those problems that you had with the roads during the winter last year?
Well, I think there were a couple of issues last year that exacerbated the problem. There's the weather that we had that made it worse, and the fact that we got big rainfalls in the fall, which made the spring thaw push up the frost and pop out all the previous patches. So of course we patched all the streets that needed patched. We've done 4 or 5 big resurfacing jobs this year, including some of the worst streets in town, Bay Street, McNabb, or McNabb and St. George's, that stretch of road. So, you know, the hope is that we have patched the streets that needed patched, resurfaced the worst streets, and we're continuing on our resurfacing schedule to try and we got more gas tax dollars from the federal government, which means that we were able to repair and resurface even more streets this year than we were able to last year. But, you know, like any year, it's going to depend on the weather this fall, what happens next spring, and we're, you know, keeping our fingers crossed. There's only so much we can control. The weather isn't one of those things.
Exactly. Councillor Hilsinger and yourself must have gotten quite a lot of phone calls during the last winter.
We did, especially as the winter tailed off. I think folks were growing frustrated with the weather and with the, you know, with the constant snowfall we were getting.
Right. Let's move on to the value for money audit. You know, a lot of people have come to me and said, is this really needed, you know, combined with the Premier's decision to download costs January 1st. Council wants to get going with the taxes, the new tax year, early into late in 2019. Do you see some curveballs thrown at Council because of these two things?
Well, I think the provincial government downloading costs is all, you know, folks could have seen it and probably did see it coming when this provincial government got elected. And so, you know, it's something that we have to live with. They looks like they are going to download costs, and we'll have to see where we're at when it's clear, because like most things with this government, they've put out a proposal without any details, and we don't know what those costs are going to be to the municipality, but we'll have to decide whether it results in a reduction in services or the alternative is an increase in taxes. So it, you know, they are paying, so to speak, for the value for audit money, so for the value for money audit, and so it wouldn't have made sense not to do it, and I think we've taken them up on their offer to pay for that.
And it's going to, as you say, it may make for a tough year. And you just mentioned, and the mayor laid it out as well. It's either tax increases or cuts in services. There's no magic bullet here.
Yeah, I mean, and you can look for efficiencies, which we've been doing for 5 years, and you could look for alternative service delivery methods, which we continually do. And so there's ways to make sure that the tax increase is as little as possible, or the service cut is as minimal as possible. But there's really, you're working with limited tools when the provincial government is downloading costs to the municipality. There's
not much you can do there, yeah. Exactly. Stay right there, Matt. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with Ward 3 Councillor Matt Shoemaker right after these messages.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. If you smoked weed, wait at least 4 hours before getting behind the wheel, or don't drive at all if you're new to it, have eaten it, or if you've mixed it with alcohol.
I need to find home care for my dad. My husband can't find a job. Our fights hurt the kids. When you don't know where to turn to 211, the helpline to community and social services in 150 languages. 211 is free, confidential, 24/7, and answered by friendly specialists. Dial 211 or search 211ontario.ca. 211 helps people find the right community and social services. 211, when you don't know where to turn. Supported by United Way, your local community, and the governments of Ontario and Canada.
I am a mother, and I am a sister.
I'm a father.
A wife, a daughter. I'm Somali lady.
I can very proudly say that
I'm a teacher.
A social worker.
I'm a human being.
I have a dream
to be free.
And I wish we live in the world full of peace.
Prescription drugs. When used properly, they can help. But last year, more than 80,000 Canadian kids used them to get high, even though it can be very dangerous. Prescription drug abuse. It can damage a teen for life. Get the facts and talk with your kids about prescription drug abuse. Visit canada.ca/drug prevention. A message from the Government of Canada.
This is On TV.
Welcome back to On Point. We're having a great chat with Ward 3 Councillor Matt Shoemaker. His ward mate, Councillor Donna Hilsinger, will be here in 1 week. Matt, we were talking about the province downloading and stuff, and you know, that's we can understand that. But what sort of bothers me is the ONNPoint grant. You know, the province can't be wishy-washy here and creating problems for the municipality of the ONNPoint grant cuts and all of that. I guess council's hoping there will be some stability with that this year.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned just before the break, the province releases a plan without any details, so we aren't sure where we're at with the ONNPoint grant. But I think given that we're into, you know, in a couple days we'll be into September, and we do our budgeting in December, the hope is they'll either get us some clarity real fast or maintain stability for this year so that we can have, you know, a long runway if there are any changes.
So the viewers understand if this ONNPoint grant comes down with no information, then it's changed. Yeah, am I correct in that, Matt? It kind of messes up council's budgeting process a little bit.
Well, a lot, in fact. If we rely on whatever number of dollars, I think it's somewhere in the range of $15 to $20 million a year from the province. And if that number changes to 10 million, or if that number changes to 5 million, then we are in. We've based a tax set up a tax structure on bad numbers, and it either means we have to cut services, increase taxes, or a bit of both. Or
nobody wins in that scenario.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was kind of wavering last time, and hopefully we won't have to go there with that. I know the mayor was concerned as well. Your resolutions in the last year, Matt, a lot of people know you're probably the guy that's most proactive on council with all this stuff. How have you gone in the last year?
Other than my request to have staff pay for parking, I think I've pretty much gotten all of them through. I'm trying to. There have been 40 or so in the last year. So I'm trying to think of most of them off the top of my head. But my success rate, I would say, is pretty high in terms of getting them passed.
And you'd like to do that more than people keep asking me. Does Matt have an Amazon ready to go in 2019? One of those big ideas again. But those don't come around every year, really, do they? You'd be the first guy to go to it if they did, but realistically, they're hard to find those good, big resolutions.
Well, and I think that, you know, we capitalized on an opportunity that was presented when Amazon put forward that bidding process, and I'm always looking, and I know other councillors are always paying attention to what's going on, and if there's an opportunity to capitalize on, try and get some business to the Sioux, or at the very least get the Sioux's name out there, right, for businesses to consider, then you know, I will jump on it, and as will others, I'm sure.
Just a quick follow-up on that note. I've seen a lot of big companies in North America want to settle in smaller communities such as ours. What's your feeling about that?
I think it's great. You know, I think that the benefits are well known of establishing in communities like Sault Ste. Marie, communities where it's easy to get to work, communities where the crime rate is low, communities where there's a plentiful amounts of nature, right, winter, summer, fall. There's all kinds of outdoor activities. There's all kinds of property to buy up if people want to build on vacant property, and there's all kinds of housing stock if people want to use something and redevelop it in the downtown area. You know, I could go on for days about the benefits of establishing in Sault Ste. Marie, and you know, that's why we jumped on the Amazon opportunity, so that we could sell our community, not just Amazon, but to the you know, sort of global business community, to say, here we are ready to capitalize on these opportunities.
You're exactly right, and these owners and people that are the decision makers know that their workforce will be happier in a smaller community versus having to commute and all the challenges with Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to go anywhere in Toronto is, you know, you're lucky if you get there in an hour. But to go anywhere in Sault Ste. Marie, you know, an hour each way, you're in the wilderness. So yeah, it's a different lifestyle. Best
thing I ever did. I grew up in Toronto, and my life has been almost 30 years in each. So it's definitely great. Let's move on to this topic, Matt. AMO. Your analysis of AMO, and you know, I'm in the know, of course, more than anybody, and my sources tell me only 3 councillors went to Ottawa recently. What's your view on AMO as a whole?
I think they do good lobbying work. I think it's, you know, largely because of the lobbying work that they've done over the past year that the provincial government changed course, right, on health unit funding cuts, on changes to the number of health units that are going to be throughout the province. So, you know, I think they're a great organization. In any given year, you'll get, you know, more or less uptake from councillors on who's going to go. It all depends on vacation schedules and family circumstances, etc. So, you know, I think 3 councillors going out of 10 is pretty good, good rate. In fact, you know, any more going would have probably been more than is necessary.
Right, and you don't see, that's unfortunate. It's the time of year where all of council will not usually attend something like AMO.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to get you know, folks' schedules coordinated in the summers and whatnot. But you know, I think not to discount the fact, though, that I think the 3 councillors that did go brought a lot to the city. I know Councillor Hollingsworth was keeping me, and I'm sure other councillors, updated on what was going on at AMO. So it's a good to have good representation there, keeping everybody up to date.
AMO does a great job within Ontario, and it's a necessary tool for sure.
Definitely.
The City Hall renovations, and some people feel that it's gone on too long. Can you give us a quick update as to when that might be completed?
I've declared a conflict on this when it comes before council, but generally speaking, I think it'll be sometime early next year that it'll be completed. There was some delays because of the windows, as I understand, but I don't have all the details because I declared a conflict on it when it's being discussed. So I've got to admit that I don't know the full in-depth analysis of where that's at.
Let's talk about that briefly. We talked about it before the show, so the viewers may understand how important declaring conflict is for the mayor and all councillors. It's done at the beginning of the meeting, and if you can briefly go through that, as you know, it's imperative that all the councillors read their agenda and how important this conflict declaring is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the law. You have to declare conflicts if you have a direct or indirect financial interest in the decision being made. Then you're not allowed to participate in the discussion on it. You're not allowed to talk to other councillors about it. You're not allowed to lobby about it. You're not allowed to vote on it. And so now you have to fill out a form saying why your conflict exists. I only, I declare conflicts often enough because my law firm acts for a lot of companies in town. So whenever my law firm represents someone who's involved in a decision, I have to declare conflict on it and trust that the rest of council will make the right decision.
Right. And it's not only yourself on whoever is in front of council, it's your law firm as a whole. So it goes beyond just yourself.
Yeah, and that's the indirect financial interest. So if my law firm makes money, I guess indirectly it benefits me. So it's not just if I'm representing someone; it's if any lawyer at my law firm is representing someone.
And that's a key point for sure. Of value to the viewers. It's not only direct; it's indirect as well.
That's right.
What are some of the key issues in the next year going into 2020 that the mayor and council need to look at?
Well, I think you've identified some of the provincial downloading issues that we're going to face this year, but I think that'll be a big consumer of time for the city. We just got our new CAO, Malcolm White, and we're going to set up a strategic visioning process so that this mayor and council and staff are all pulling in the same direction.
Wonderful. And in our remaining moments, what's your biggest thrill in 2019 or since you've been on council? Can you pinpoint one great thrill that you've had on council?
Well, it's all been great. I think the Amazon bid, if we're talking last term, was probably a highlight of the term there. But there have been three sort of big blockbuster things that have affected our terms and will affect our community going forward. The steel plant coming out of CCAA is huge news for our community, and
it's exciting news.
It's exciting news, exactly, and it's gonna reinvigorate our economics in town. Landing the Noront ferrochrome processing facility is a great benefit to our future. And as I mentioned, the Amazon bid was a big success for, I think, the community because it got us a lot of attention.
Great, Matt. Thank you so much. Having a great time. Our show's done, and thank you so much for making time to come on Point today.
Thanks for having me.
I'll be back to wrap up the show right after these commercial messages.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room. Create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place, at the right time, in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Thanks for coming back on Point, and I wanted to thank Ward 3 Councillor Matt Shoemaker for being on the show. And this is the go-to show for municipal politics. We have our MP coming on September 16th, the new city clerk, and the 17th, the CAO in October. That's it for me. Thank you. Ward 3 Councillor Donna Hilsinger will be here in 1 week on our next edition. Have a great day. I'm Andy Martins. Take care.